starts with a fresh shot of espresso. Bold, rich, pulled just right. Then comes the milk, steamed smooth, creamy, and balanced. The perfect latte is not rushed. It is crafted, one cup at a time. Your perfect latte is ready. Coffee first, then everything else.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. I'm DJ Moises, and today's conversation is brought to us by Coffee First. Electric vehicles are beginning to reshape transportation, investment, and even real estate. The question is no longer whether electric vehicles are coming. The question is the Philippines ready? This afternoon, we look deeper and think better and examine the realities. Joining us is the country manager of SALIQO Industries. We have Ian Saligumba. So hello, Ian. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
Hello, DJ. Good day.
Yes. So it's raining.
Yes, actually, it's raining cats and dogs.
And then there's traffic. So the topic of discussion today about how EVs can actually brave these conditions would be very, very timely.
Exactly.
Sige. So before we get into the details, if we have viewers who are thinking about shifting to electric vehicles, what do you think is the first thing that they should investigate?
Yes, I mean, well, we have to know the brands, but more than the brands and the models and what's up to or trending to this date, it's much more important for us to know and understand where are we going to charge our electric vehicles. Now, mileage, that's good. The design, that's good. But more than that, since we're entering a new set of industry, we have to know what the first question that must come into mind is that where will I charge this electric vehicle? Do I have, let's just say, in your personal residence, do you have the ample resources or that's even the slightest of the electric requirement? Do you have the electrical requirement to suffice the electric need for your charger? Or perhaps do you have the nearest public charging stations? So I think that's the most important thing that must come into mind when purchasing or thinking, even by thinking of purchasing an electric vehicle.
And because of the Middle East tension and the
Correct.
price of fuel, more and more people are investigating whether EV is for them or not. But at least from your observation, is EV really for everyone, or there are certain lifestyles and driving habits that does not or will suit an EV?
I mean, technically speaking, I'd rather have someone who'll purchase an EV who understands the market itself. When I first, for your first question, yung sinasabi ko kanina, you must understand first, where are you going to charge? But needless to say, for our viewers out there, we must understand that electric vehicle is not just limited to pure battery electric vehicle. There are actually three types of electric vehicles. So from that standpoint, you must understand first, what is your priority? Is it the mileage or is the savings? When talking about electric vehicles, medyo naguguluhan pa yung I mean, the industry is too young. It's way too young. So I understand that there must be some misunderstandings, misconceptions. But to answer your question, first, we must put into consideration first that there are a lot of types of electric vehicles. For starters, we have the most popular one, the BEV or the battery electric vehicle. So there's a 100% electric vehicle. So if your choice is more into this 100% savings, I think BEV is best for you. And if you're more into the mileage and the savings, I think PHEV or the plug-in hybrid is best for you. So suit what matters or depends on what's your priority. But I think right now, we are getting into that industry that I am saying that this is not merely a trend anymore. This is where we're going. EV is the way.
So what you're saying, correct me if I'm not able to capture it correctly. What you're saying is, if the need of a person is savings,
Yes.
then full EV is the answer to that.
Correct. It makes much more sense.
Makes much more sense. And then, but if that person also happens to drive more and travel longer distances, then it's much suitable for the person to have hybrid.
Correct. It's much more, let's just say, for the lack of better words, it's much more safer, so to speak.
Sige, we'll get into the anxiety piece now.
Yes.
So, but let's talk about the savings first.
Okay.
One of the impressions that people have, at least people from my circle who are not experts of EVs yet, is the high initial purchasing cost. But a lot of people are also aware that eventually this will be recovered, no? By the savings that they will have specifically for maintenance and other costs. How long does it normally take for a person to recover the higher initial investment?
I think the returns, you're talking about the returns.
Yes.
I think you've mentioned it already. But when we talk about the duration on how long will you be able to get
Like
your returns?
5 years,
Yeah.
3 years.
I think on the market right now, or in the study, we have a study that shows that the average can get at least 3 to 5 years already. And it
So
can,
they will start feeling the
Yes,
savings na 3
correct.
to 5 years.
Remember that what you're battling from is not merely fuel versus grid. There's also an avenue for you to expand for, let's just say, renewable resource, renewable energy, such as solar, which is very popular nowadays. But the thing is, we have to that which is very available for electric vehicles and not available for the standard vehicles. So what I'm trying to say is that yes, we have a study that proves that 3 to 5 years you can get you can feel your returns, but you can actually get or feel your returns much more earlier than the 3 to 5 years if you travel more often. So the more you travel, the more you get or you feel your return. So that's why because the savings are can be seen or felt through your mileage, and the more we're comparing it to the fuel consumption or the basic consumption of a standard vehicle. But what I'm saying is, the more you travel, the more faster you get your returns.
Now let's go on the flip side, no?
All right.
For somebody balanced discussion.
All right.
Who would you advise not to buy an EV?
Yeah. First and foremost, I'd like to think that going back to my initial answer, you must first be able to understand EV in itself. You must be able to understand what are the types of electric vehicles and what are your priorities. So if you happen to not answer what is your priority, if you're not able to answer why are you getting EV in the first place, then it doesn't make sense if you're going to get an EV, so to speak. Especially if you don't even know where to charge. For example, study shows that Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, the most saturated electric vehicle charger stations are more into malls. Well, let's just say you're from you're far distant from malls. The nearest mall is, let's just say, hundreds of kilometers away, and you happen to have to live in a condo unit. And your condo unit or your condo building, which is typically the problem nowadays, that condo units tend to not have or no availability for electric vehicle chargers. So if that is a problem, then I think it's not really a good time for us to get yourself an EV. Now, I'd rather lose the particular client now, but maintain him or her if we are ready for the infrastructure in itself.
So actually, I also have quite a similar experience lately because I almost went into full EV.
Oh.
until somebody gave me a heads up about availability of charging stations. So let's talk about that. Is it becoming the bottleneck as of the moment? Because I know that more and more people are going into EV. So are the charging stations also becoming the bottleneck?
Well, 2 points.
Okay.
First is a lot of, if not all, a lot of car dealerships or brands na EV car dealerships nowadays have their own free wall box and portable chargers. So if you're, for instance, in the situation here in the in Cebu first, Cebu is still an island. It's not like other countries who, like for example, it's USA who is cross country. So, well, you can, if your trajectory is more into the metro city, well, you can actually survive with a mere portable charger. That's a one point. But when we say bottleneck, we cannot afford to just simply say, oh, you're just limited here in metro city. But remember, the bottleneck is also an opportunity. Needless to say also that majority of the dealerships here, or the not just in Cebu but nationwide, majority of their portable chargers actually requires grounding. So for some brands, that is where Salico comes in. Usually we provide the portable chargers that needs no splicing of their outlet. So that's one of the added value that we provide. But when we say bottleneck, yes, I think I still consider it as a bottleneck. Here, us in Salico, we consider it as a bottleneck. For us to, the goal here is to connect each corridors to have to simply make charging a lot more boring. I mean, making sense?
Okay, sige.
Oh.
No, because you said something there that got me curious. As far as I know, although I have a very limited knowledge, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, there's only one brand that I know that comes with a portable charger. But you've mentioned quite a number of times portable chargers.
Yes.
Are you saying that if the what's this? If the brand cannot provide a portable charger, there are companies such as yours who can actually provide that for us?
Actually,
Sige.
yes, correct.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
There
Sige.
are. I don't know where you're getting your information from, but from our perspective, or from our market, a lot of car dealerships, if not all, again, gives free portable chargers. However, majority of those car dealerships does all of their, if not all, again, majority of them doesn't work to a 220 volts, which really
DC, you mean?
AC.
Oh, AC. Oh,
yes,
sorry, AC.
Yeah. So, which defeats the very purpose of portable chargers. It should be portable. So, whenever you want to charge anywhere into 220 Type B plugs, so you should be able to charge. But that's not the status quo right now. And just to answer briefly your question, yes, we are one. Actually, we are the only provider nationwide of electric vehicle chargers,
Regardless of brand.
Yes.
Oh,
So others,
that's
well,
new to me, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, others might be saying that they're into also a supplier, but most of them are just white label brands who are. But just to insert a little bit, well, where you're purchasing already at least a million, a 6 to 7 or even 8-digit electric vehicle, I think it's not really, or it doesn't make sense if you're going to invest to a charger who only cost, who is only you're getting from a white label brand. It doesn't make sense. The math isn't mathing, so to speak. So that is where Salico comes in.
So, sige, out of curiosity, so let's zoom out lang sa,
Alright.
and this is 100% curiosity. How do charging stations, I'm referring to like malls or yeah, malls largely. Do they make money out of that, or is that just public service?
I think when we're talking business, I think charity is way far from it now.
Okay, so they're making. So how do they make money?
Yeah. So for starters, majority of operators. We call it operators under the DOE circular. We are those who are operating are called EVCS operators, electric vehicle charging station operators. Now, they charge by the kilowatt hour. So uh, pla- how much is the per kilowatt right now in the Cebu? Do you happen to know? I think it's roughly 13 to 14. It's fluctuating right about there. But you know, but the minimum charging that I know here in Metro Cebu is already in 28 pesos. So that's roughly 15 pesos per kilowatt hour. And for us to charge a AC, let's just start basic. A 7 kilowatt AC can charge your from 10 to, of course, it's gonna be zero. So 10 to 80% is around roughly 7 to 8 hours. So you multiply that by X number of hours and X number of kilowatts delivered. So you get your margin from there.
Okay, so it's like the cost per kilowatt that charging stations are selling with respect to the cost per kilowatt in which they're paying
Correct.
the somebody siya, the provider. No?
Yes.
Veco is one of them. Sige. And no, the reason why I made this gesture because I think our viewers could see the logo, no?
That's why.
Sige. So now let's talk about infrastructure, no? Specifically charging stations. You've mentioned that at least for the capital region, there's already better number when it comes to availability of charging stations. But you mentioned that for locations such as Cebu, that's not necessarily the same case. From what you're seeing on the ground, are we, and when I say we Cebu, no, are we on track in terms of making charging stations more available, considering that there are more and more people right now who also have converted already to electric vehicles?
I mean, your question is,
Are we on track now?
yes. Needless to say, I think we are. I mean, just last week, I saw a news from the city government of Cebu, who is on their way requiring each charging stations two charging units per gas station. So that's another bold move.
And by the way, when will this take effect? And out of curiosity, no, and I'm sure if we have viewers Magud right now who are thinking about transitioning to EV, but they are aware of the perceived lack of charging station. So around when will this take effect?
I think it's not the best interest of me or
Okay, sige.
to answer that question.
Sige. No, I just got excited. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so that's just one of the moves of the government, the local government, so to speak. Not to mention the relevant national agencies such as DOE, who is actually planning to, not just planning, but now initiating this quarter. We're in close coordination with DOE with 35 charging stations here in Luzon, Visayas first. And then they're adding more 23, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's a total of 60, the Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, 68 charging stations. That's just one of the initiatives of the national government. But right now, I think Cebu, in fact, study shows that after in NCR, Mandaue and Cebu City is the next cities who are mature already for electric vehicle market. I mean, that's outside already the rest of Luzon areas. So I think that speaks a lot on how we are ready on the infrastructure in itself, and alongside with our fellow private stakeholders, we are on our way to support, especially the goal of the DOE, which is to reach 7,300 charging stations nationwide.
And Sige, and when you mentioned about the number, no, which is 7,000, it brought me back to the conversation that I had yesterday with an economist. No? Because the Philippines typically we have the bias towards measuring it in terms of numbers, but not necessarily in percentages. No, because 7,000 sounds a lot, but
Yeah.
we don't know exactly how many vehicles are running. But sige, just to give kanang better clarity on that, are we then, so this is my follow-up question to the previous one, are we then at a point in which we have adequate charging stations for people who are still about to buy their EVs? Or are we at a point that there are people who are about to buy their EVs and then the charging stations are catching up? Yeah, sige.
I think it's more of a chicken and egg question.
Yes,
Which
no.
comes first?
Which comes first? But if you would ask me, sige, I'll tell you where the bias is. If you would ask me, I would wish the Philippines in general, no? So this is also for our government officials. I would hope gani nga for a change ba, because the Philippines typically, although I'm not saying it's 100%, but the Philippines also typically is kanang catching up. We build the city, we'll think about the infrastructure later.
Yeah.
And then the infrastructure will just catch up. That's why a lot of people now are in traffic. But anyway, that's beside the point. So going back to EVs, I would prefer nga nag-una ang charging stations and then let's tell people, okay, come. You buy because we have enough charging stations. So, ahaman ta karon catching up or
just to-
nag-una ang charging stations?
All right.
Yes.
Just to point out that, just to have a point of reference.
Sige.
Luzon started that way.
Okay.
In fact, 2019, there are already existing charging stations. That's pre-pandemic.
Okay.
Meaning a lot of in the capital region, a lot of businessmen are already forecasting that is going to be the trajectory, or that's going to be the way next. But right now, it's not a sad fact. Just to put into disclaimer, it's not a sad fact. But right now, I think it's more of
Catching up.
catching up.
More like that's the impression I have.
Yes.
Continue.
But needless to say, that gap that we're looking forward right now, or we're looking at it right now, is another opportunity. It's not more of a chicken and egg question. It's much more of, actually, they're complementing naman eh. We are kind of supported naman. But we must remember that growth is exponential, not linear. So meaning to say, it's not like if it's not compounding, but in fact it is compounding. The growth is compounding. So when more people are being interested, more people are being aware, more people are being educated, I think for little to 1 year, I think we're going to be that mature compared to the national capital region.
And I'm actually hopeful that
Likewise,
eventually there will be the infrastructure comes first, so the charging station comes first before the buyers. No, that's
Exactly.
my hope, at least for a change. No, in the narrative of progress no, here in the Philippines. Now you've covered this already earlier, no? Katong how do charging stations make money? You've also mentioned about katong condo dwellers, but just allow me to ask this question because if our viewers failed to catch your answers in these different questions, they might not be able to just put one and two together.
Yes.
Is it actually cheaper to charge at home compared to charging at the public charging stations?
I think of course I think it's
I know, I know, but I just wanted to ask, just in case our viewers failed to catch your
Yes.
answer here and your answer here.
Of course, because first and foremost, the residential and commercial electricity rate is far different. So that in itself is already a plus for residential.
Residential.
Yes. But and of course, it is a business model. So they earn per kilowatt hours. Of course, there's a markup for that. But here it is. It doesn't mean that it's more efficient in charging. What I'm trying to say is that you cannot have for ordinary homeowners, you cannot have your own DC chargers or fast chargers. So-called fast chargers, but because the electrical power requirement is not sufficient to an ordinary household.
So
Meaning to say, I'd like just to point it out. The basic requirement for 7 kilowatt, which is the basic, is the free, the 7 kilowatt chargers, is the most pretty common one. Requires is the only one who requires single phase electricity power. But all of the others, when we go up to even to slight notch, so it really requires three phase already, and the investment from that is far from the usual. Or if you're going to use it for your home purpose only, it's not gonna suffice, or it doesn't add up. If I'm not being clearly, but simply said, medyo matatagalan yung recovery from your returns if you're really comparing commercial DCs to a more traditional or safe 7 kilowatt.
So, if I capture it correctly,
Yes.
it's more economical for those who are charging at home.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I anticipated that answer, no? Given what you mentioned earlier about charging stations making, of course, money, no? Because it's not just plain
Yes.
public service, no? So now, because I live in a condo, and to continue with my story earlier, I was discouraged, no, by some friends because of the perceived disadvantage if you go full EV and then you live in a condo. So once and for all,
Yeah.
I'll ask it from experts like you. Is it practical? Because more and more people now live in condos. As of today, maybe in the future,
Yeah.
but as of today, is it practical actually to
Now,
to
all right.
have an EV and then you live in a condo in the in Cebu?
Yes. Right now, I think yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sige.
Because before, the other existing electric vehicle charger providers are merely franchise operators, meaning they don't even actually sell the actual chargers. That is why there's a demand for who am I going to buy EV chargers from? That is where Salico comes in. During when we started to do our EV rollouts, we saw the gap between the existing providers, the franchise operators, and the real estate developers. Now, I can clearly say that EV chargers right now is now no longer an amenity. Remember when condo units first provided generator sets? It was more of a luxury back then. So not all condo units have the
Backup power.
backup power. It was more of an upselling or more of a added value, so to speak. Before, it was still the same with electric vehicle, but right now, developers here, even here in Cebu, we have clients here in Cebu who are developers who are actually trying to add their electric vehicle chargers into their properties, not merely as an amenity, but now as a requirement. So I think Cebu, in this interview's case, I think Cebu is already mature as for developers. I think not all, but we're getting there. And it's not gonna take us long to fully immerse all developers to have their own electric vehicle chargers as well.
No, it's good that you're bringing that up. I will not put my developer on the spot, but in the condo that I live, we still don't have chargers. That's why I was relieved when you mentioned earlier about portable chargers. No? Because I think in my case, after weighing things, the pros and the cons, eventually I went for hybrid.
Oh,
Yes. Meaning,
hybrid plug-in.
no. I went for two cars, one
Oh.
electric and one, what's the name? One
The traditional.
traditional.
Yeah.
And I wanted supposedly to merge the two, but because of the limitation in our condo, and I
Yeah.
cannot imagine lining up in the malls, which by the way, I was told, I did not see it myself, but I was told that there's a long line in the malls in terms
Yeah.
of charging. So I do not want to wake up earlier or sleep late just for me to charge. Okay. Sige. So now let's talk about range anxiety, because
Oh.
this is also one part that I was told by a friend who lives in the US and has has an EV, no? And that's what he also told me. So that means he's an advocate now. But that's one part that he somehow discouraged me into going full EV. So in Cebu, let's talk about Cebu. Is it reasonable to own just one EV? That means you don't have two cars, you don't have a backup. So what you have is just EV. To go to Bogo, for example, in the north, or Oslo in the south, without feeling anxious at all. Sige.
Actually,
Although this can be a myth, but
Yes,
I'm just
yes.
telling you this because these are also things that I hear.
I mean, first and foremost, I'd like to put a disclaimer. I cannot speak on behalf of all electric vehicle brands.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say right now is what I can just share to you is much more of a personal knowledge and an added research perspective by saying this is an average answer. Now, first, I'd like to point out first because it's not really. I don't. It's not really. It doesn't make sense at all if your first initial or your first thought on having an EV is to directly go to Bogo or directly go to the southest part of the Cebu.
But you will be amazed about people would talk about it. In fact, the person I was talking to was even very specific. He also has friends also having EV, but they have a backup traditional car.
Yeah.
And then he said that they are not even comfortable to drive beyond Liloan. So Murabag, if they travel to Liloan, okay, we can have an EV, but beyond that, let's use the traditional car. So maybe
Ay.
true or false, but that's
Yeah.
at least from
The thought,
my
yeah.
circle, that's the impression that they have.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame them.
Okay.
In fact, I don't blame anyone who are being skeptical on the range, which translates to range anxiety.
Correct.
So, I don't blame them because the industry is still too young again. Which brings me back to my
but
very
by the way,
point.
are there charging stations? Sorry if this sounds a funny question, but I just have to ask this. Are there charging stations beyond Liloan?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Sige.
I think so.
Okay, that's what they
Yeah.
told me. Anyway, continue. So there are.
Yes.
Okay.
But when I say
And beyond Minglanilla.
yes, I think there's still even in Bantayan and Bantayan.
Okay, sige,
Yeah,
continue.
and then those are islands already.
Continue.
So,
Okay.
But going back to my point is first, I don't blame even the users already. I don't blame them being skeptical in knowing where will this their vehicle reach. Now, but going back, you yourself must know the range of your vehicle already. Now, what I'm trying to say is I've heard a lot of this is for personal accounts from the experiences that I've been to. Even they are just using a portable charger, they can already roam around the city. But your question was towards
North
the
or
farthest
south.
of the
Oh, yeah.
farthest of the farthest. No? But I think we are capable. Although there's a disclaimer that again, I cannot speak on behalf of all electric vehicle brands, but there is the answer to your anxiety because there is anxiety because there is the lack of knowing.
Correct.
So if you are being educated and being informed on whether the capacity of your or EV is already sufficient to what extent in say can it reach this point of Cebu, then there's the answer. I think again to point out again there's many misconceptions and
I
one
know.
of it is the range anxiety. Anxiety only comes in if people are or misinformed or uninformed. If we take care of that, I think those two words won't exist in the first place.
So this is part of the education
Yeah,
No,
educational drive, so to say.
of our viewers. So now let's talk about kani. Don't laugh, but I'm also making I'm seizing the opportunity to ask some of the questions or some of the impressions that I'm also getting on the ground, and they can be
Sure.
true or false.
All right.
So there are also people I would hear, when they say that EV is a green solution, but in reality, the emissions were just shifted from the vehicle's tailpipe to the power plant.
Yeah.
Sige.
I do get that a lot. So what they're trying to say is that yes, it's not getting from the emission of the car tailpipes, correct? But it's getting from the grid.
Yes.
But I know, first and foremost, there is no other option on where can we get renewable resources from. First and foremost, not all power plants are destructive. So there are lots, even up to date, no. There are already self or green power plants, even solar farms. So that in itself considers one of the greener portion of charging. Second is that there's an option actually, which is being popularized here in Cebu now, the charging with solar panel solutions. So where can you possibly get that from the direct from being a traditional vehicle? What I'm trying to say, yes, the grid might be needs more investment, so to speak, but it is not a closed door, but it is an acknowledged challenge.
And before I let you go, because I'm supposed to be down to my just last question, but since you're here and it's flooding, how safe? I know you will laugh sa ano yung question, but just in case we have
No, sure. You
viewers,
should,
no?
yeah.
And by the way, I already know the answer because before I when I was investigating EV, I also asked the dealer ba na for floods like AS Fortuna. I actually asked, is this safe? And the dealer actually gave me an answer. But I'll just have to ask you so that just in case we have viewers who are asking the same question, how safe is an EV for flooded streets like Cebu
You're talking
and
about
Mandaue?
you're talking about the electric vehicle.
Yes.
Again, just to put a disclaimer, I cannot again.
I speak for everyone.
Yes,
but
generally speaking,
Ah.
I think it's I think we've already seen tons of videos where electric vehicles, because first and foremost, electric vehicles, most if not all, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the electric vehicles uses only dynamo, so it doesn't use an engine, so to speak, for you to be able to get, if it's wet, it's not gonna hindi aandar, or but speaking from the charger itself, what happens if someone if ma-flood ba yung charging stations, but going to that perspective, yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Electric vehicle chargers are IP65 already, meaning to say even if it's with pressure, the water won't go inside the machine. So there's no that's already a protective layer built in place, knowing that the Philippines is a tropical country.
Correct.
Yeah.
And by the way, now I'll give the answer of the brand, which I will not mention.
Yes.
The dealer or they actually told me that water can go to as high as 1 meter.
Oh,
And then my next question is, but the car is small, will it float? Yeah. And then the answer was no, it's heavy enough not to float. So that's what the answer. But I did
it's
ask.
just one of the dealers.
Yeah, but I did ask that question. Okay, it's a common.
Yeah.
It's a common consideration, especially that again it's rainy season and streets in Cebu right now are unpredictable. All of a sudden, there's flooding. By the way, range anxiety and traffic. Can you speak more about that before we close? Because traffic is also a situation in Cebu.
Yes, but what particularly part of
If
the
you're
traffic?
stuck in a traffic longer, because there are certain sections in Cebu that are notorious
okay.
with being stuck, and especially at this time. No, yesterday we were just going to a certain hotel, and it was relatively close, but some people actually spent 2 hours, just to get to the event. So, how is the traffic condition also in Cebu? with respect to people who are into EVs. Kaya mura man po siya ka ng cellphone na malobat. Diba?
Total
Sorry
makes sense.
for the question, ha? Sige.
First and foremost, there's no difference at all.
Okay.
It's just merely that you're driving a much more lighter, or in speaking of a fuel sense. But needless to say, there's no difference at all. I just like to point out the misconceptions of which brings again to the range anxiety.
Correct.
Again, people.
This one is time anxiety.
Yes. But still.
Yeah, I know.
But again, I won't really dwell. I won't really dwell into the range anxiety, but I really want to talk about the reason behind why such thing exists in the first place. People are just misinformed or uninformed. That's all. If people will just really take time to search more, to talk to their dealers more, and then to actually learn to understand rather than just, again, the industry is too young. Therefore, I understand if there's misconceptions and withdrawals. Every time there's a new industry that's taking place, there's always going to be people who are gonna withdraw or not gonna be skeptical, and that's normal. My concern is just do not spread misinformation or disinformation, and actually help be informed and spread information, correct information. Because once all of that are gonna be solved, there's gonna be no such thing as what you call it again, range anxiety or any anxiety in the first place.
Oh, yeah. Actually, di ba, Cebu is rich, so there's no price anxiety, no?
Yeah,
Range
exactly.
anxiety ang natin.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding, but that's a common joke also that I would hear, no? Cebu doesn't have a price anxiety, Cebu has a range anxiety. But anyhow, sige, and this is my last question already, and I'm enjoying this conversation so much, but we're running out
Likewise,
of time.
yeah.
But anyhow, so now let's kanang fast forward to 5 years from now. So this is a future kanang oriented type of question. At what point can everyday Cebuano like me, in which maybe I'm using EV or I'm not using EV, but everyday Cebuano, at what point can I say that, oh, Cebu truly is already EV ready, no?
That you are not alone in that vision. We are closely working with the DOE for achieving that certain goal. But the very goal here is that we want to make electric vehicle charging in the first place be boring as much as possible.
So it's not a problem anymore.
Yes. That talking about charging is irrelevant already, and just people won't really plan on where to go, to what route are they going to just to charge, and make charging itself plain and boring. Just simply like the traditional charge
Like going to a gas station.
Yes, simply just so that's the very goal. We want to make our company irrelevant to the point in which we are more we want to make our industry boring to the point where people are already used to having different electric vehicle charger, and doesn't make it like a special bonus or a special amenity, so to speak. That's the very goal that we're really looking into.
So thank you very much, Ian, for joining us
Alright.
today.
Thank you so much also, Deej.
And also for correcting several of the myths that I hear on the ground.
Yeah. Pleasure is mine, yeah.
Yeah, and also I'm also hopeful that with the Middle East tension, and even for in the context of having a greener space, I also wish that more and more people will investigate and give electric vehicles the chance that they deserve. So behind every EV is an entire ecosystem. We have charging stations, supportive policies, forward-thinking businesses, and consumers willing to embrace change. So let's look deeper and think better, because headlines tell us what's changing. Understanding tells us what those changes mean for our lives, our businesses, and our community. So I'm DJ Moises. Shout out to Coffee First for supporting conversations that matter. This is Beyond the Headlines. Have a good afternoon, drive safe, and have a good weekend.
It starts with a fresh shot of espresso. Bold, rich, pulled just right. Then comes the milk, steamed smooth, creamy, and balanced. The perfect latte is not rushed. It is crafted, one cup at a time. Your perfect latte is ready. Coffee first, then everything else.